welcome to The Doctor is In. This program is your daily guide to virtual care in this time of the coronavirus. I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez, and we are looking forward to answering your many questions over the next half hour. Since the start of the pandemic, a lot of therapeutic approaches have surfaced online claiming to be the cure for COVID 19. But remember, there is no cure or vaccine for the disease at the present time. So vaccines and antiviral drugs are still undergoing clinical trials. One treatment currently being done for COVID-19 is convalescent plasma therapy. So let's talk about that and how we can maintain a healthy blood circulation. Our guest today is Dr. Pia Angela Receno, a hematologist and consultant at the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Pia.
Thank you po for inviting me. Good afternoon.
Yes, so good afternoon. Our topic for today in general is going to be about our blood, no, yung dugo natin. And as we all know, our circulatory system is responsible for pumping blood throughout the body. Doctor, why is good blood circulation vital to a person's health? Our blood, no, yung dugo natin.
Yung pong dugo natin, that is, where our oxygen, this delivery, the delivery of the oxygen, it delivers oxygen to our body. The white blood cells are there, the plasma is there. The plasma is the liquid part of the body, and it can all the white blood, these particles or cells, particles, these cells po sa katawan. So, very vital. It supplies oxygen to different parts of the body for our body to function well. Yun po.
Okay. So, meron naging usapan ang pagkuha or pag-extract ng antibodies mula sa dugo ng isang tao na gumaling sa COVID-19. Could you briefly explain kung paano ang proseso na ito? Yung pagkuha or pag-extract ng mga antibodies mula sa isang taong gumaling sa COVID-19?
Alright. I mentioned that yung atin pong dugo, meron po yung components, alright? So we have the red blood cells, we have your white blood cells, we have your platelets, and also we have your plasma. Now, the plasma, as I said earlier, is the liquid part of the body or of the blood. So in this plasma, it is where, several components are in also. Nandyan po ang clotting factors and also what we call the antibodies. So, in reference to our topic, which is COVID-19, as you said earlier, there's no really approved treatment yet, given that this is a relatively new disease. So, we are trying to experiment. We are trying to look for treatments that will help our patients get better. So, yung antibodies, these antibodies are in the plasma. And the assumption is patients who recovered from COVID-19, they produce antibodies already when they recover. So, ang premise po niyan, kung naka-recover na sila at meron na po silang antibodies, maaari pong itong antibodies na nanggaling sa recovered patient may help those who are still battling COVID-19.
Okay. Now, Dr. Pia, ang convalescent plasma therapy ay hindi bago ito, no? It has been around for decades. Why can't this be used as the main treatment for COVID-19? Why is everyone still patiently waiting for a vaccine?
Okay. You're correct po, no? Yung pong plasma, actually yung convalescent plasma is just produced or used when we have a pandemic. The question was, why we need a vaccine? Because we want immunity. And in a way, the convalescent plasma wants to give that immunity to a patient na hindi pa po nakaka-produce ng sarili niyang antibodies. But
Okay, very
while
good.
we're
Now,
waiting for a vaccine, and hopefully po in the next years, hopefully in the next months,
Okay, so we're all waiting for that very essential vaccine na hopefully within early next year ang pinakabalita kung kailan siya lalabas, ano? So, now it's time to take a look at some social media questions. Marami na sila. We have one from Brizel. Ang tanong ni Brizel ay, what are the criteria in donating blood for the plasma therapy?
Okay, just like in any usual blood donation, a donor should pass the screening for blood donation na tinalaga po ng DOH. So ito po, may edad po, ano, usually po dapat 17 with consent up to about 60 years old. Kailangan po walang maintenance medication. There's a checklist po to say that you will be a candidate for blood donation. But karagdagan po dito, if you want to be a plasma donor for someone who has COVID-19, of course, you should be a recovered patient of COVID-19. At sa mga kailangan pong criteria is at least mga 14 days or 2 weeks ka nang walang ramdaman. And also, iti-test po yung to COVID-19. So, we have qualitative tests, no? Positive, negative lamang po as compared po sa abroad that they're able to quantify the patient na nag-recover na po ay talaga pong mag-develop ng antibodies to COVID-19. So yun po, basta po makapasa sa screening, kailangan po ang pasyente, very important, ang kailangan po lalaki at yung mga pasyente po na hindi pa po nanganganak. Because we want to protect our patients from side effects of convalescent plasma transfusion.
Okay, very good. So we'll patuloy natin sasagutin ng mga tanong, but we have to pause for a quick break. But after the break, let's talk about your blood type and why it matters in plasma donation. Stay tuned. The doctor is in on CNN Philippines. We'll be right back. Welcome to The Doctor is In. I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez. We want to make the most out of your telemedicine appointment today, so please keep those questions coming. Your blood is made up of liquid and solids. The solid part contains red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. The liquid part makes up over half of your blood and is called your plasma. And this plasma is what is extracted from someone who has recovered from COVID-19. And aside from knowing the basic composition of your blood, it's also important to know your blood type. Dr. Pia Angela Receno, a hematologist from the Asian Hospital, is here to explain why. Dr. Pia, why is it important to know what your blood
Yes, sir.
type is?
All right, yung pong blood type, we want to know that because as much as possible, we want to transfuse someone with the same blood type po. So as to avoid any blood transfusion reaction po na tinatawag. Yung blood transfusion reaction can range from simpleng nilagnat ng ngate to very severe forms of reaction such as nasisira po or pumuputok po yung dugo ng pasyenteng sinalinan. That's why, as much as possible, of course, depende po sa salin kung plasma or PAC or RBC, we want the same blood type. As we know also, we can have substitutes or kung wala ko talagang parehong blood type, we can give a different blood type, but we have to check for compatibility all the time. All right, yun po.
Okay, so na-mention nyo yung napaka-importante yung pagiging compatible ng dugo ng pasyente at ng donor. Uh,
Yes po.
Nag-apply din po ba ito sa plasma therapy?
Yes, sir. Even with plasma donations and plasma transfusions, we want the same blood type. Uh,
Okay, so it's very vital. All the cross-checks are done. Ginagawa naman lahat ng ngayon para ma-check ang dugo na tama din ang dugo na sinasalin doon sa pasyente.
the not be yes po. Yes.
Okay. So let's take a look at some more social media questions. Maraming mga taong nagtatanong tungkol our topic for today is about plasma therapy and blood in general. Our first question is from Jonah Lynn. Ang tanong niya ay, what is ferrous sulfate and when should you take it?
Ferrosulfate is an oral form of iron. It's a supplement po for those patients that has iron deficiency. And it's good that you ask why, when should you take it? You take it when you are iron deficient. So I think this is the time also to say that you don't just take iron. Iron also is a form of treatment and it has side effects. If you keep on taking iron, if you have, and it can eventually lead to iron overload pagka inom po tayo ng inom. So you must be iron deficient and that the intake of iron should also be guided by your doctor. We take it orally, depende po, no, kung gaano yung kaya yung i-take. You can take it once a day, twice a day, depende po sa level po ng iron sa katawan. At kung gaano karami po ang inyong kakailanganin.
Okay, so yeah, so it's an oral form of iron, but always consult with a doctor first before you take any form of vitamins or supplements for that matter. We have another question from Rosel.
Yes po.
Ang tanong niya ay, ano po ang RH negative? If someone needs it, saan dapat pumunta?
Alright, yung blood types po natin, so meron po tayong mga major blood types. So as I said, as mentioned earlier, kailangan po compatible ang dugo. So yung isa pong blood type, yung ABO blood type, and then the next is yung RH blood type, no? So meron pong RH negative and RH positive. Tayo pong mga Pilipino, most of us are RH positive. And I think about 1.5% of Asians are RH negative. Mas marami po, 1.5 to 3%, I think. So, mas marami po. Yung RH negative, it's a rare blood type actually dito po sa atin. mas marami po sa mga sa Caucasians ang RH positive. So if you need it, all right, meron pong group or there is an organization of RH negative patients or RH negative donors and persons that helps people who are RH negative. The Red Cross, the Philippine Red Cross also has that service and they can extend help to those patients who would need RH negative for whatever reason po. So you can contact Red Cross or I think the RH negative group po, they have a Facebook group that you can contact and reach out to. Yun po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pia Receno. Your insights on the topic have been very, very helpful. Still to come, how can we maintain a healthy blood? Thank you very much, Dr. Pia. So still to come, how can we maintain a healthy blood circulation? Keep it here on CNN Philippines. The doctor is in. We'll be right back.
Amid the darkness, look on the bright side. In most Filipino homes, a painting or sculpture of the Last Supper hangs in the dining room. And in this all too familiar scene, Jesus, on the night before he was betrayed, broke bread with his disciples. But take a look at this painting, made by a Filipino nurse living and working in the United Arab Emirates. He depicts Jesus with our modern-day heroes, our frontliners. They are the bravest of the brave in this battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. A doctor, a nurse, a policeman, and a soldier. You also meet a chef, a food delivery staff, a restaurant server, a janitor, and a flight attendant. Instead of Jesus serving bread and wine to them, the artist has the Son of God offering only a message of thanks.
Hindi po pagkain nga po yung nakahain para sa frontliners, kundi picture po ng bata na puno na determinasyon para po palakasin yung loob ng bawat frontliners po na nakakaramdam ng pagod.
And instead of calling this painting the Last Supper, as you probably thought he would, Kim calls it a meeting. It's a meeting to talk about how to help fight the pandemic. And speaking of frontliners, a medical technologist at the Tondo Medical Center reminds so many of us that during these challenging times, we need to stop and smell the flowers. Pat Abella is a self-taught artist who loves to incorporate flora with portraits with the addition of gold leaf.
When you're sad, when you take a look at flowers, it makes you smile. When you smell them, it makes you comfortable.
Pat says flowers have a certain effect on most of us. They're a symbol of life that makes us happy, hopeful, and sometimes in love. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo, CNN Philippines.
Welcome to The Doctor is In on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez, and we are answering your questions about COVID-19. Kanina, pinag-usapan natin ang blood type compatibility. Now let's talk about how we can improve our blood circulation to avoid serious medical conditions. Joining us now is Dr. Helen Ong Garcia. She is a cardiologist and consultant at St. Luke's Medical Center. Welcome to the program, Dr. Helen. Dr. Helen, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh, okay. As we're trying to get Dr. Helen, as we're trying to get Dr. Helen Ong Garcia back on the line, she's a cardiologist and she's joining us today to talk about kung paano natin ganda or mapapalakas or manatili ang blood flow natin or ang circulation system natin. How to maintain it, make it good, make it ready for anything that we might encounter. And one of those is COVID-19. So, as we were talking about earlier, convalescent plasma therapy, isa po yun, treatment therapy or habang hinihintay natin ng vaccine. At tinanong ko kanina ang guest natin kung bakit hindi na lang yun yung gamitin natin treatment instead of using the vaccine. So as it was explained, we still need a vaccine for proper immunization. Okay, so we have Dr. Helen back on the line.
Hi, Dr. Gomez. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you
Hello.
for joining us here at the Doctor's Inn. Dr. Helen, our topic for today is how to maintain our blood circulation, make it strong, make it healthy. Are there certain types of food that can help improve our circulation?
In actuality naman, uh, I would probably say there is no certain type of food that actually improves circulation per se, but the proper management of diet could help improve circulation. See, the blood is actually containing not just the fluid that we know as blood, but there is also some cholesterol contents and some platelets there. And overall, those actually would actually contribute to sluggish or low blood flow or very, yung pa ika nga malapot ang blood flow. So that's why I would probably say that it's a proper management of diet that would improve blood circulation per se. That is in the natural state. Of course, in the
Very good.
disease states, we do give some medication for blood flow.
Right, so that's something that we should watch out for. It's the amount of cholesterol that could make the blood sluggish. Now, doctor, if a person is hypertensive, how does this affect their overall circulation?
Well, one thing first, one thing we have to clarify. Blood pressure is exactly the word is blood pressure. So it's the amount of force that drives the blood through the tubes that we have, which are the arteries, so that it can go to the different parts of the body. That's actually quite different from what we call viscosity, or in Tagalog, kalaputan ng dugo. So which means that blood pressure could affect blood flow by virtue of the fact that it is actually an interrelationship. If you have very viscous blood or your blood is actually a little bit thick, it takes more pressure to drive the blood across the body. So it is not surprising sometimes people who actually have issues with blood flow will actually have high blood or increase in blood pressure. Unfortunately, increased blood pressure also harms the smoothness of the walls of the blood vessel. Ergo, when the smoothness of the walls of the blood vessels are affected, that also affects blood flow because cholesterol bits, platelets could attach to the walls and that could impede blood flow.
Okay, very good explanation there. Now let's answer our last set of social media questions. We have one from Ferdy. Ang tanong niya ay, can blood type influence what food we should eat?
There has been no study to actually advocate that particular principle. I know it's very, how do you call it, popular now that people say you have to have a certain type of food for certain blood type. But studies have not really supported this theory. So I would probably say not really, unless studies will prove that. As of now, no.
Okay, very straightforward answer. Our second question is from Oliver. What is good cholesterol? Can it also help prevent high blood pressure?
That's a very good question. Good cholesterol or HDL or high density lipoprotein are actually cholesterols that we want in the body because it's actually protective. It's actually protective of us in terms that it actually enhances enhances the systems in the body, and also it's protective against other problems like mga cardiac problems. Unfortunately, this is not something you can obtain from the food alone. You actually can obtain that through exercise and through good living. So that actually is very protective. What is its interrelation with blood pressure? As mentioned, blood pressure alone is a disease. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have all patients with high blood pressure have high cholesterol and vice versa. So which means there are some patients with high cholesterol who don't have high blood pressure. But in many instances, they are actually married to each other. So a person with high blood pressure could eventually develop high cholesterol because it follows that all of the norms, all of the risk factors that cause that are there. On the other hand, if you have high cholesterol, it could actually produce later on in life high blood pressure.
Okay, so there you heard it from Dr. Garcia. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of The Doctor's In. Your inputs and your knowledge has been definitely very helpful, especially for our viewers.
Thank you very much too for this invite. Much actually flattered. Thank you very much.
At sana'y nasagot namin ang inyong mga katanungan. Samahan niyo po kami ulit Lunes, 3:30 p.m. dito lang sa The Doctor is In on CNN Philippines. I'm Dr. Freddie Gomez. Stay safe, everyone.